Welcome back to Hey Kentucky. Now, the big talk in the political world recently has been about next year's governor's race and will Governor Matt Bevin run for re-election? You probably know that Attorney General Andy Beshear has already decided to run as a Democrat, and I expect there'll be other Democrats who run as well. And for Governor Matt Bevin, it should be an easy decision. He's a sitting Republican governor in a predominantly Republican state, and you think he would run. As a matter of fact, I was on a panel with Republican strategist Scott Jennings at the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce just a few weeks ago, and here's what he had to say on the subject.
Matt Bevin, I think, will run for re-election. I think he will be re-elected. I think it would be exceedingly difficult to turn out an incumbent Republican governor in a red state with unemployment as low as it's ever been since Daniel Boone. When the other party apparently has decided its principal policy aims are to abolish ICE, to abolish profit, to abolish borders, and to reverse all the progress that we've made.
So normally, that would be the Republican conventional wisdom. Bevin has had success, the economy looks good, he's going to run, and he's going to win. Yet, when we look at the numbers, that doesn't look like what will happen. The latest Morning Consult poll shows that Bevin's approval rating in Kentucky is 29.4%. That is the fourth lowest in the country for any governor of their state. And it's gone down substantially from just 2 years ago when he was actually relatively popular. So the question is why? How does a governor who has a pretty good economic record see himself so unpopular? And the answer is Matt Bevin has proved to be his own worst enemy. Just think about what he has said recently about the citizens of this state, teachers and public workers. Let's go to the summer of 2017. Matt Bevin took aim at the pension crisis and said teachers who threaten to walk out should, quote, probably retire. Here it was.
We're not going to pass anything that will cause a person to wish they had retired earlier as a result of it. We're just not going to do it. Why cut off our nose to spite our face? But I will say this, if you happen to be a teacher who would walk out on your classroom in order to serve what's in your own personal best interest at the expense of your children, you probably should retire. I'm being completely serious.
Follow that up with his actual bill being released. And in the March of 2018, Matt Bevin said reform opponents of his bill had, quote, a thug mentality. Now, I don't know about you. I've been around a lot of public school teachers, and I don't think calling them thugs is really a smart idea. And then you go to April 2018. And Matt Bevin really shocked the state with a statement about workers who were considering a walkout in Frankfort and what would happen if they did it. And when he said this, I simply could not believe it.
Surely as we're having this conversation, children were harmed, some physically, some sexually. Some were introduced to drugs for the first time because they were vulnerable and left alone. It's offensive, frankly, it really is.
For me, this was the turning point for Matt Bevin. By implying that teachers would somehow be allowing sexual abuse simply by utilizing their First Amendment right to have their voices heard, I think it made it to where even supporters of him had just about had enough. And then we fast forward to this week. Matt Bevin was comparing the pension battle to dealing with a drowning victim, and he gave this analogy.
And yet I'm being fought in some instances by the very people that we're trying to save. It's like saving a drowning victim, Brian. It's like somebody, they're fighting you, biting you, pulling you under. You just need to knock them out and drag them to shore.
So when you look at the entirety of the language, thug mentality, drowning victim, and the sexual abuse language, you see Matt Bevin is talking about those that disagree with him on the pension issue as if they're awful people. And I think that's part of the arrogance of the governor. He stands by his convictions, but the problem is he is so arrogant that he doesn't understand why people might disagree, and it leads to him using nasty language about them. And I think the state has just about had it, because across this state, teachers and public workers are beloved members of society. In 61 of the 120 counties, the local school district is the largest employer in this county. And Matt Bevin doesn't realize that. He's from Louisville. He doesn't deal with public school teachers, and it's easy for him to give nasty words about them. I think that has caused this state to completely turn their back on him. A 29% approval rate, when the economy is pretty good, is about as bad as a governor can do. And he only has himself to blame. He blames Andy Beshear. He blames the Democrats. He blames teachers. But honestly, he should look in the mirror. He should be a successful governor. This is a Republican state, and he's a Republican. But instead, almost the entirety of the state is turned against him. And it is all his fault, and he only has himself to blame.